All right, guys, in today's video, we're going to be reviewing DC Comics Future State. Let's go. Today's video is brought to you by comicbook_pressing on Instagram. Protect your comic book investment for as little as $10 by using Eric from comicbook_pressing. He presses all ages and tiers of books, and make sure you use my promo code BURK54 for free shipping back to you. Again, today's video is brought to you by comicbook_pressing on Instagram. What's up, everyone? My name is Steve from Burke Family 54 Comics, and in today's video, I'm going to be joined by a couple of my friends, Ryan Nuexguy and Mark from Legion of Comics, as we review and talk about DC Comics event Future State. Now, before we get into today's video, I do want to say that we also did a DC Comics event Future State preview. A link to that video is in the description of this video, and it was posted on all three of our channels. So what is Future State? Well, let's hear from Mark from Legion of Comics to talk about what DC Comics event Future State is.
Omniverse United, a continuity that is wide open, a rich history where everything that has come before is canon and has happened. So what is Future State? It's a glimpse into the possible unwritten worlds of tomorrow, rooted in the newly structured and infinite DC Omniverse.
So as you heard from Mark from Legion of Comics, Future State is a glimpse at a possible future where anything is possible. Now, this 2-month event from DC Comics really gave us some really cool characters and stories. We had the next Batman, the Magistrate, the new Wonder Woman Yara Flor, and so much more. Let's go ahead and get into our DC Comics event Future State review. Let's first hear from Mark from Legion of Comics. Mark, what did you think about Future State?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me back. I'm really excited to get the chance to talk Future State again. And this time, it's the wrap-up. So my thoughts, what did I pick up? Let's talk about it. So my thoughts going into this, I was a little skeptical, but as I got closer, I grew more and more excited. I started seeing the solicitations, I started seeing the character designs, and got a better idea of what we were getting into. And even though this is kind of seeming like it's the remnants of what could have been the 5G, I feel like they salvaged it and made it into something of its own that was definitely worth checking out. So what was it? It's basically an Elseworlds. It's a what-if scenario after the reality and multiverse-altering events of death metal. They give us a 2-month hiatus where we just look at a potential future world of DC Comics. And when they did this, they did not reinvent all of our characters. They did not swap them and change them and morph them into something we wouldn't recognize, but they gave us our old beloved characters as well as brand new characters. And for the most part, they were all a smash hit. We were introduced to the new Yara Flor Brazilian Wonder Woman, who was actually really amazing. It blew my mind. We got introduced to the next Batman with Jace, aka Tim Fox. Ridley Scott wrote that title, as well as a huge Batman storyline with the introduction of the Magistrate, and all the Peacekeepers, and all the things that came with that. So there was actually kind of clusters of story arcs, and I picked up initially almost every book the first week, and after I kind of read them and saw how good they were, I went and decided to just pick up all the titles across the board. And the ones that really stuck out to me was most definitely the 4 Riders of the Apocalypse story arc that took place between Flash, Teen Titans, Shazam, and ended in the Black Adam title. So it was actually nuts. The Flash title was amazing. We saw what it was like when Barry Allen was like the only speedster left who wasn't murdering people, and he didn't have the Speed Force to help him. And we saw how capable he was. And that bled right into Teen Titans, which is one of my favorite titles that came out. They brought Red X into DC continuity from the Teen Titans show, and I did not realize how much I missed keeping up with the Teen Titans. I'm a Nightwing fan. I'm a big Wally West fan, just like other people who are doing this video with me. And it was great to see these characters back in action in any capacity at all. It was cool seeing Nightwing kind of lose his mind because of the years spent out there fighting unbeatable odds all by himself. But the stories were handled very well. DC brought in a lot of new talent into their comics. Now, these are people that are already talented doing other things, but they brought them in to write and draw these books. So they kind of gave us, as the readers, a fresh start without resetting the universe or resetting all the characters again. So if you felt bogged down with DC, or if you felt Death Metal story arc was too heavy, or you weren't really feeling how things were going, they just energized us with brand new talent, brand new points of view, and it really hit. And one of the big standout creators for me was Rom V. Now, he has been working on DC titles before, but this was really my first introduction to him. He did Catwoman, the Justice League Dark backup story, as well as the Swamp Thing 2 issues. Now, him as a writer really stood out for me. I haven't seen somebody handle Swamp Thing this well since Alan Moore. He was just able to create that inner dialogue and inner struggle in that very specific way that Alan Moore did while making it his own. And it seems like he put in a lot of time, effort, energy into studying before giving us these amazing books. So those were really the big ones for me. And I was excited to be into this, and I was upset when it actually left. So moving forward, I'm hoping to see some of these awesome elements that were introduced get brought over into current continuity. And luckily, we are seeing signs of that. If they're going to bring the stuff that I would most want to see over there, I'm not sure of yet. We do know that Red X is continuing on, as well as some of the Magistrate stuff that's going to be bled over. And the coolest part is we saw how it all ends with Future State, and now they're taking us to the beginning. But we know that they're not going to write these books to the point of saying to be concluded in Future State. So we know the stories are going to deviate in some way that we're not going to expect. So I'm really excited to see where that's going to take place and how it's going to be a different outcome than what Future State was. So that's pretty much my take on it. Overall, I give the event itself an easy 8 out of 10. It was solid across the board. There's a couple of titles that just weren't for me, but they don't necessarily mean that they were bad, except for Legion of Superheroes. Stay away from that hot garbage. Back to you guys.
Excited to be here with Mark and Steve. Thanks for having me on the channel. Future State was an event that I think we all talked collectively about how we weren't really all that interested in it. I don't want to say that we thought it was going to fail, because I definitely believe that Mark believed in it. But I think, especially for me and Steve, it was almost a surprise how good it was. There was a lot of quality. They threw some interesting ideas out there, and they brought in some different talent and really created some unique possibilities for the universe. And there are things in this that I'm really excited to see more of, or I at least hope that we get more of. I think probably the biggest discovery for me was Yara Flor as Wonder Woman. I've never really been that into Wonder Woman. I think she is a cool character that exists, but probably not for me. However, reading Yara Flor in Future State, I absolutely love this character. She has this very relatable sense of uneasiness about the world, where she has the power to save the world, but maybe the world doesn't really need her right now, and she's kind of looking to find her place. And I found often, especially like when you see her in Superman, Wonder Woman, Future State, it's almost this sense of like nothing is wrong, but also nothing is right, and she just seems kind of unsettled and unsure of her place in the world, and that's a character I can really get behind and relate to. So I'm excited to see more of Yara Flor in the main universe and in Infinite Frontier and everything moving forward. The next thing I would like to talk about is the Generations Shattered and Generations Forged. I don't know, DC actually handles these kinds of books pretty well. We saw it in DC Rebirth, we saw it in Infinite Frontier, and it showed right here in the Generations Shattered, Generations Forged. Overall, though, this was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed moving through time and through the universe. I don't really know anything about Commandy, so that part's a little bit lost on me. But as a character in this book, I thought he was a lot of fun, and it was a interesting character to take the reins and lead that team. And so I would like to see more of these kinds of opportunities for DC to tell these stories that are just kind of like these one-shots that bring in all these random characters and kind of just do like a random one-off event. I think they do very well at these, and so this would be a great one-shot kind of setup for them to use throughout the year, you know, and give us multiple books of this kind of stuff. And then the final character I really want to talk about is the Flash. I know a lot of people had issue with the Future State Flash stuff. I personally really liked it. I really liked Old Man Barry. Barry Allen, no powers, grizzly beard, and he's learned that like there's loss in war, and he has to compartmentalize in order to protect the lives of everybody he loves and the people around him. And DC, if you're watching this, hire me. I will write you a 5-issue Old Man Barry story arc that will absolutely crush, because I loved this character. I really like the idea that he's very intimate and knows the the Speed Force very well, but he doesn't have the power anymore, and so therefore he's having to use his brain and his science. And I absolutely love that about this character. I love the way that he dealt with grief and trauma, and that he stayed focused on the point. And there is absolutely no reason that now that Wally is back in Infinite Frontier, I don't see any reason we can't have an Old Man Barry series. So hit me up, DC. I'm just waiting for that call. Thanks for having me here, Steve. It's a blast as always, and until next time, keep flipping pages.
All right, thank you, Mark and Ryan, for joining me and giving me your reviews here for Future State. Let's go ahead and talk about my review for Future State. Well, like Ryan said, I was not super big into Future State. I honestly thought it sounded kind of dumb. I really enjoyed what I was reading so far. Batman, Nightwing, Flash, Shazam, a couple of those other books, and I didn't really know if it was going to translate into some of these new characters. And boy, was I wrong. I really, really enjoyed Future State. I read The Next Batman, Dark Detective, Flash, Shazam, Nightwing, Teen Titans, and a few others. And like Mark said, my favorite book would probably be Teen Titans, learning about Red X, who it might be. A lot of people are speculating on Clown Hunter being Red X, and it might be true, it might not be, who knows, but I really think it'll be interesting to find out who it is in Teen Titans Academy. Now, I also really enjoyed Nightwing. If anyone knows me knows I'm a pretty big Nightwing fan, and it was really cool to see Nightwing team up with the Next Batman in that book. It was a lot of fun. Now, I will say I was kind of disappointed in Flash. I disagree with Ryan. I didn't think the Flash book was that great because Barry Allen was not a speedster and my guy Wally West was the villain, and I did not like seeing that. But the book overall was still good. It just wasn't my favorite among all the books. Overall, I would definitely give Future State a very high grade, probably a B+ or an A-. I thought it was just really, really good stuff. If you've not read any of the DC Future State books, I definitely recommend checking it out. Thanks everyone for watching, and thank you again to Mark from Legion of Comics and Ryan Nuexguy for coming on and helping me out a second time as we talked Future State. A link to their channels is listed below. Again, my name is Steve from Burke Family 54 Comics. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of our video and what did you think of DC Future State. All of that and more. Again, thanks for watching, and as always, go Cats, Cowabunga, and it's Morphin time.